This is the Viltrox PL to E-mount adapter with the autofocus motor on the Remus 33mm at T18. We're wide open here on the FX6. Now let's see if this will face detect on me. I have my FX6 set to face and eye detect. So yeah, it's tracking my eye. I'm looking on my monitoring control app on my iPad. So I'm just gonna walk backwards without trying to knock into my coffee table. And it seems like it's still tracking my eye, which is pretty crazy. There's a lot to go over with this adapter. I've configured all the Remus lenses, and shout out to Miles for letting me borrow the B set. I absolutely love the B set, but I'm gonna not talk about that in this one. I also have the Vespid 2s, and I set up all of those in this adapter as well. All said and done, I have about 13 lenses in this adapter. It took me this is a new product, so there's not much documentation out there. It was a lot of me stumbling around in the app and going, to the manual and to their quick start guides. I suspect this will be smoothed out in the future, but it took me about 3 hours to figure out how to properly calibrate a lens. And then it took me about 10 to 15 minutes per lens to calibrate them. So the fact that it's tracking me makes me feel like all of this setup was worth it, because it is tracking me and we're wide open at T18. And I'm sorry for my 100-year-old creaky floors, but this is what I'm working with. The first thing I did, I just put a lens on here. I put the 35mm Vespid 2 on and did not calibrate it. I just put the iris and focus motor on it, and it did seem to work, but it seemed like it was guessing a lot with the focus. Once you calibrate it, it actually seems pretty smooth. I'm looking at my monitor. Okay, nothing weird, just filming in a bathroom. We're going to actually focus on Ashley's reflection and not Ashley. Ashley's reflection there, fixing her hair. Seems like it's doing a pretty good job. Let's try to track right here, see if we'll do it. And we'll go back to her reflection. Pretty good. To her reflection, going to the edge of the stall there, and back to her reflection. That's hunting a little bit there. Try to keep this hair out of your face on this side. We just had the 33mm Blazar, now we're going to the 85, and to load the next lens into the adapter, I've just been using the app because it's a little bit easier because of the screen. Because of my bright tangerine top plate here, it's a little hard to see the screen. But if you add it to the lens and then you right now we have the 33 still, but if we power cycle the camera, turn that off and turn it back on. Now we have the 85mm, I don't know if you can see that there, but we have the 85mm loaded onto the adapter. That's how I've been doing it. Seems to be the easiest way.
Before we get into more tests, I want to thank today's video sponsor, Audiio. Audiio offers an extensive catalog of music, stems, sound effects, voices, and AI search tools at a great price. Link Match AI allows you to paste a YouTube or Spotify link. They will analyze it and then give you a list of similar songs that you can license in your projects. If you'd rather describe what you're looking for, you can tell Hans and they will give you a list of music to choose from. I love these tools because it helps speed up discovery and I can find exactly what I'm looking for my videos. Audiio is offering $100 off of Audiio Pro. You can use the link in the description or my code Keith100 for $100 off. Thank you, Audiio, for sponsoring this video.
Okay, now we have the Remus 85 again. We're wide open and we are just letting the camera focus on Ashley, and she's actually moving back and forth. We're focused on her reflection. If you just move forward in the mirror and move back just a little bit, move backwards and forwards a little bit slower. And she's moving forward, tracking her reflection, and move backwards. It looks like it's struggling a little bit to keep her in focus because we're towards the edge of the frame. Let me move so her reflection's in the center and see if that is a little better. So moving closer to the mirror and farther away. Seems like whenever you're in the middle with these Remus lenses, especially the tighter focal lengths, it's easier for it to pick up. On the Remus 85, the autofocus is having trouble tracking Ashley, like when we're on the far quadrant of the frame here, because we're technically not anamorphic desqueezing in the menu at all, because whenever I do that, this might be a glitch with the FX6. I just don't get access to autofocus at all. It's like it's just in a manual focus all the time. So that was a weird glitch, but I got around that by keeping Ashley in the center. With Ashley in the center, we're actually keeping a pretty good frame on her. We can see like the peaking with the red on her face here, and the eye detect autofocus is tracking her. If you move backwards a little bit, Ashley, and move forwards again, it looks like we're still tracking her eye there. And move forward, nice. Okay, now we're on to the spherical lenses. This is the Vespid 2 85mm, and to find our Vespid 2 here, we're going to add it to the adapter, and then it still says we're on the Blazar, but to get around that, we just power cycle the camera, turn it back on. Then it will go through its startup cycle. We don't have an iris motor on, but we're just gonna do wide open, obviously. And now we should have the 85mm T19 on our adapter. Yep, there it is. So Ashley, if you get back to your spot, and I put this to autofocus. Okay, we're tracking Ashley in the frame, we're tracking her reflection, and let me try to focus on the real Ashley. And let me go back to her reflection, and go to Ashley, and back to her reflection. Cool, that seems to work. Okay, last lens change, we're going from the 85mm Vespid 2 to the 35mm, so we will load that to the adapter, turn it off, on, load it up. I feel like that's the easiest way to access all of these. You can go through the adapter and go through the menu here, but it's just a little bit difficult, and I find the app being way faster, especially when you start to get like, 13 lenses in here. Okay, now we have the Vespid 35 T19. We're wide open at T19, and we're focusing on Ashley, and let's go to her reflection, and back to Ashley, back to her reflection, back to Ashley. So it seems like that handled it pretty well, just like from the camera screen. This is a brighter scene though, so I would typically like expose this a little darker. I bet this is when it's going to start to struggle if we focus on Ashley and back to her reflection and lean in. And that, it seemed like it missed focus just a little bit and lean back out. It seemed like it just missed focused a little bit. So if you are trying to go for like a really dark scene, let's make it even darker. Move in and move back out. It seems like this is about as dark of a scene as you're going to get, and then it's going to start to have some problems hunting back and forth. But let's go to a well-lit scene next.
Oh no, we know what that means.
We're going outside. Yeah, it's pretty windy.
First time I've ever seen the lake this much frozen over.
All right, it's 14 degrees and really windy, so I'm not sure how long this is gonna last. Thank God for this tripod.
Vespid 2 35mm, we're at 5.6 with full ND. I didn't bring any other ND filters, so this is what we're working with.
Face detecting Ashley, you can step out and step back in. It's focused on the background and focused on her, and turn around and look at me. As soon as she turned around, it found her eye. A little closer, watch out for the dog poop. Step out and remember that spot. Yep. And step back in. And it found her. We're in face detect, there's eye detect. Okay, cool. Blazar Remus 33mm, we're at T56 again, full ND, and we have eye detect on Ashley. You can step out. It is so cold. Now we're onto the background and step back in.
You're good.
And you picked back up, and you can step back out. And you can step back in.
It's cold.
Seems to be doing pretty good in full light. Not surprised.
And freezing weather.
And freezing weather. Oh, those people are getting kicked out.
Uh-oh.
Let me see if I can get them. Your hat in this wind is hilarious.
I bet it looks cool though.
Blazar Remus 33, a T456 split. You can step out. We have grabbed focus in the background. Now step back in really quick. And we're back on Ashley, and out really quick. And in really quick. Yeah, in full light, this thing seems to be doing pretty well. DZL film 35mm T19, we're at like a T4-5-6 split. We are full ND on the FX6. Eye detect on Ashley's working pretty well. Now hop out and go back in, background to her pretty quick. Step out and step back in. So I can go out one more time and back in. Oh my God, my hands are freezing. In my fast, very cold testing, this adapter in full light seems to be doing pretty well. I think we're done.
Did it? Did you get all your lenses and stuff?
I know this is early days for the Viltrox adapter. I've had to actually go through and add all of my lenses. I'm working on the Vespid 2s right now, and I have the 18, 24, and 35 in there. I just got done doing the 35, and I was gonna start doing the 50. So I figured I might as well just make a quick overview video of how to add a lens to this system. Let's start off by adding the lens. After you put in all your lens data and your close focus, the 50mm Vespid 2 is 1 foot 8 inches. Then save. And the next thing you do is calibrate the aperture scale. This is T1 to T11, so put this to the end. And this part's kind of crazy, like you add 1.9 and then you literally move your finger here to T2, right there's T2, and then you hit add scale to confirm. Then you go through, move your finger on this thing. This is 2.8. This part's kind of crazy. If you just like tap 4, now your lens is smart enough to know like we're at 16 and now we're going to 2.8 and wide open, and we'll go to 8, we'll go to 11. So it's kind of cool to see that working. For the focus parameter calibration, to start off, like set your camera to movie mode, autofocus, center fixed, make sure the test chart and your camera are on the same axis, and make sure that this is peaking. That's why I have my small HD monitor here set to my focus. So if anything is in focus, it's in red. After doing the focus parameter calibration, it'll run through all of the aperture ranges and focus and go to the next one. So this is a little time consuming and tedious, but I guess it is just part of the process here.
Quick setup guide for the Viltrox PL to E-mount adapter. I have the Vespid 2 35mm here, and I just put the focus and iris motors on already. I put them on different sides because on my smaller lenses like the Vespid 2, they just won't fit on the same side. So it's easier, there's these little switches that allow you to select like left or right. And it's easier, like if you have just like Arls, we'll say, then you can keep them on one side. But if you're gonna be swapping between larger and smaller lenses, it's almost easier to just configure your focus motors, that, kind of staggered like this, and just connect them up. It really doesn't add any more cabling. It's just kind of like easier to have them on different sides. For the handheld rig, you only need this D-tap to USB-C, and we'll put this into the iris motor. If you're using this on a gimbal, there is a little power box. I can't speak to that because I've never used this setup on a gimbal before, but for the handheld setup like I've been using here, I've only needed to use this pretty long D-tap to USB-C cable. Next, we want to take one USB-C out of this motor and take it to the focus motor. Now that we have our USB-C from the iris to the focus motor, the last thing to do is to go from the focus motor to the lens itself. Now we have the focus motor plugged into the lens itself. Now the screen on top should start whenever we start the camera. I just stripped my FX6 down so it's a little easier to see everything. The last thing we used was the 35mm T19, this Vespid lens. So that's already populated in here. So it's that easy to get up and running. And you technically don't have to use this with the iris motor if you don't want to. So I'll just show how to do that really quick. Here the FX6 only has the focus motor, and the only change we did was USB-C straight into the focus motor and then focus motor to the lens. There we go, we've started up and we've calibrated. On the screen here, it says the 35mm T19, that is the Vespid 2. Again, this is just for the handheld setup. If you're using this on a gimbal, you will have to use the supplied power box, but I don't have any experience with that just yet. Maybe in the future, if you guys would like to see that, let me know in the comments down below and I'll make a video going over that.
I love being able to use autofocus and touch tracking on my manual focus lenses. I love the look of these lenses, but if I didn't have anyone to pull focus for me, I couldn't use them, or I was like using a ruler and like not moving from the spot. It's a crazy time to be alive to have autofocus, manual focus lenses. It would be great if there was a follow focus on the side of the focus motor that, you know, if I was holding onto the follow focus, then it would be smart enough to know to not rack focus anywhere, and it would let me control it. And then if I let go, then the autofocus would take over again. I guess there is a case to be made on autofocus lenses, like if you're using a Sony G Master lens, on most cameras, there's not a manual focus override. There is on the FX6, and I find myself using that from time to time. So I'd love if that would translate to this focus system. I don't know if that's possible or how that would work at all, but it would be cool to have. I love that technology like this exists. I never thought that I would have autofocus control over my manual focus lenses. I have a feeling once this releases, the experience, especially of like calibrating and onboarding all of your lenses into the app, will only get better. So it's cool that this is early days and it's working this well already. Let me know what you guys think of this adapter in the comments down below. I have more videos that I will be using with this adapter in the future, so if you have any specific tests, let me know and I will try to work those into future videos. Thank you guys for sticking around to the end, and I'll see you in the next one.